In today's aviation recap, Turkish Airlines are expanding their international route network. An airline is being banned from certain locations, and Etihad Airways are bumping up their flying. Why not begin there with the Abu Dhabi-based company announcing that it will boost flights between its home and Paris as part of continued efforts to expand its European network. Double daily flights will be official as of the 15th of January 2025. To break down the two daily flights, we'll see an Airbus A380 deployed from November 1. This will be an upgauging. And then January 15 next year, the airline will put a Boeing 787-9 between the two locations, acting as the second daily flight. This company says it'll offer a three-class service from first to business to economy across the interior on its service to Paris Charles de Gaulle, really emphasizing the product on offer and trying to be one-upping its competitors. Most notably, the Airbus A380, however, will feature the all-important and highly regarded Residence, as Etihad commits to offering the best cabin product and using its highest capacity aircraft to the popular travel destination. This, an aircraft type that has experienced, I'll say it again, quite the resurgence, not just on a global scale, but also just for Etihad Airways. You have to also remember that at one point, this was an aircraft type that seemingly had no future with this airline, and now it's coming back quite quickly and being deployed to so many different locations. Double daily flights will genuinely enhance the Etihad network and respond to what they say is increasing levels of demand between Abu Dhabi and France. Furthermore, thanks to the great diverse nature of the route portfolio at Etihad, onward connectivity from Abu Dhabi is possible across short, medium, and even long-haul locations, ranging from within the Middle East to Asia and even onwards to Australia. EY3132 will be the daily flight operated by the A380 from November 1. Meanwhile, EY3334 will operate the second daily flight. Again, to confirm, this will be from January 15 of next year. So a really nice set of flight numbers. EY31, 32, 33, 34. From 2025 onwards, Etihad Airways will split the two flights for their departure times by around 12 hours. Now, this is highlighted through a 2:40 a.m. departure for the A380 flight and a 2:20 p.m. departure for the 787 journey. This airline is moving ahead with Journey 2030 plans, which aims to see the fleet, employee base, and network double over the next decade. So, upgauging across key markets such as Paris will play a fundamental role in achieving these growth ambitions. There is more growth, and that comes from Turkish Airlines, who have announced formally a landmark service expansion to Australia set to occur from December of 2024, enhancing its presence in the country. The Turkish-based company will begin flying to Sydney from Istanbul using the A350-900 with 329 seats. From December 5 of 2024, the service will commence with a stopover in Kuala Lumpur. This is a destination different from that of Singapore Changi. You may know that this is the location used for the stopover point on your Istanbul to Melbourne service, which is already operational. The flight is a massive moment for the Australian industry and even Turkish Airlines, which has committed quite heavily, we know, to the country in the last year and is ambitious to grow further. I'll get into a little bit about that later. When Turkish Airlines commenced flying between Istanbul and Melbourne this year, after some delay, it made its intentions pretty clear on a public level. It wanted to one day fly double daily to Melbourne and Sydney markets, with when the right aircraft was delivered to them, doing so without a single stopover point in Asia like we're seeing take place now. And with flying set to commence in Sydney, it'll reinforce these commitments, allowing Sydney also greater access to Europe, and interestingly provided some added degree of competition for several airlines that operate through Australia towards Europe, whether it is the Middle Eastern companies, those within Asia, or even the likes of Qantas. Once launched, the flight will operate 4 times per week and is expected to be an important pillar for the 15,000 Turkish-born Australians who reside in Sydney's home state state of New South Wales. These figures based on Turkish Airlines comments. Thanks to the continued development of the Turkish Airlines network, Istanbul won't just be the end destination for many travellers, with opportunities to connect onwards to many more markets where required. This could be domestically or on a more short to medium haul basis. Turkish Airlines is overhauling its business in a similar sense to Etihad Airways. Both of these companies that I've touched on in this video already are on a critical pathway to achieving future growth by expanding so many pillars of how they fly. The deployment of aircraft towards markets such as Sydney, this being its second destination within Australia, are essential parts of achieving these long-term ambitions. The government of New South Wales added that it's set to benefit from this, believing the route will generate some $53 million in the first year alone of visitor expenditure, while creating close to 300 jobs, overall boosting the economy and certainly the tourism sector. Iran Air are the final story in today's aviation news recap, who are set to face another round of heavy sanctions, as several countries will no longer allow the airline to fly to cities within their airspace. Escalating tensions across Iran and neighbouring regions has put a great deal of pressure on nations to really react, with heavier sanctions to be imposed on these locations to ensure that safety remains for their customers, assets, and employees. France, Germany, Britain, and even stretching to the United States are placing more significant restrictions on Iran's national carrier. Following further details being revealed concerning missile transportation, I won't pretend to know anything about this because, quite frankly, I don't. But this did come to light with regards to the ongoing tensions again in this region, and now we're seeing the beginnings of sanctions being stepped up in response to this. The latest measures following these fresh developments aim to refuse travel and thus limit overall accessibility to Iran, which will pose great restrictions. Iran Air typically operates towards several leading European cities. Now, this could be from London to Frankfurt, even Paris, and locations across Italy. There's more on top of that. The national carrier does use Tehran as its key hub. However, fresh restrictions wouldn't be the first time that we've seen something similar happen in the last 20 years, and really highlights that turbulent nature that comes from the geopolitical tensions that really take place in this part of the world. Equally, such sanctions will have a positive and negative effect. Some airlines are going to see increased flying as they seek to basically emulate the sanctioned Iran Air. Equally, given the heightened sanctions, others who would previously rely on Iran Air for transportation may now be more willing to move towards a key competitor airline that may have also likely safer practices and are not being impacted by those sanctions. Furthermore, there are some discussions that have been presented about how Iran will respond to these latest sanctions and whether it will launch back with its own wide array of restrictions. I am currently traveling at the time this video is going live. In fact, this is being recorded 2 weeks prior to it being published, so I'm not on hand with a computer to really keep up to date, but I'll do my very best to publish anything in the comments for any of these videos if there just so happens to be, say, a fresh development. You can let me know your thoughts on this industry recap. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. I hope you're taking care, and I hope you're also being safe.
And we'll fly.